Hey friends, let's wrap up December. So, of course, one of the biggest things that happens is the celebration of the holidays. And we always have a lot of fun putting everything together, decorating. My daughter and I do most all of the work. We start with indoors. We usually get our tree, we usually get a fresh cut tree, and we do that on the day after Thanksgiving. So that would be Black Friday, and we pick up two, one for indoors, one for outdoors. And that has been a part of our tradition for a really long time. It's a lot of fun. This year I was crushed because my fence had been knocked down during the last hurricane, but fortunately I had someone that was able to come and repair it and buy us a little bit of time. And so we were able to fully dress the fence with the lights as we normally do. And I was just thrilled about that. And so everything really came together. I think the other big thing is that this year I really wanted to um, bring back some of those old family recipes that I hadn't been really partaking in. And so that was also a lot of fun, a lot of work, because holiday cooking is no joke. But it was so good to have that connection again with the food. Um, and with the traditions and the culture, and so I really just immensely enjoyed all the different preparations for the season. So very, very wonderful time with the family. So let's move on to books. I am still slowly working through Tarot for Yourself. And there are times that I struggle a little bit with the exercises in this book. And so this month we had a lot going on. I didn't do very much, but one thing that I'll share, working through what they refer to as permutations. And so the idea is that you lay out the Celtic cross, and then the cards that would normally, not one and two, right? That's the center, but the cards that would surround three, four, five, and six, that you would read them in that position and then shift the cards once clockwise and read them in those positions, and then all the way until you finish the first full cycle. So that was really interesting. That's the chapter that I'm in right now. So I'm going to be on to permutations number 2, and there are quite a few in here. And I think it's meant to really stretch how you're reading your cards and be able to dig a little bit deeper in terms of the reading. So I'm working through that. And the other book that I read was The Seed Keeper. This book was so good. This book was so good. This was recommended to me, and I almost ran straight to Amazon to make the purchase. And then I was like, you know what? No, I'm gonna, go with the local library. So that's what I did. Checked it out. It did not take me long. It was really, really interesting. And I was able to get through the full book, I would say like less than 2 weeks. Um, yeah, less than 2 weeks. It was amazing. This was such a good uh, book. The story of seeds and preserving those seeds, passing them along from one generation to the next to ensure that future generations have the original food that the tribes were having. So, such a great story. It really comes full circle. If you haven't read it, I would fully recommend it. In terms of shows, I am now watching Mr. Plankton. I'm not gonna lie. This sounded very, very interesting only because of the title. I was like, Plankton, what in the world? I actually had to look it up, right? So the main character is referred to as Mr. Plankton because literally he's a drifter. He just exists. And he discovers that he has a brain tumor, and he embarks on an adventure to try to track down the sperm donor that, in his eyes, ruined his life. And it's a very, very interesting story. And I almost stopped part way because I'm worried that this might not be a happy ending story, but I am pushing through it. This one is a shorter one. I think it's only 10 episodes, and I'm on episode 5. So I'm about halfway through. Awesome show so far. Now, the month of December is when I usually do my inner child work. And that came to be because I thought to myself, December is the time when I try so very hard to create that sense of magic for the kids. And I thought to myself, why not try to do that for my own inner child? And so typically in the month of December, I usually work with inner child type decks. But in addition to that, this year, I decided to do a tarot challenge. So you may recall that I really enjoy doing these tarot challenges. I usually find them on Instagram. There's always so many cool ones. This particular one is interesting because you're given a keyword prompt, and then you can do with that what you may. And so I originally started it and I wasn't sure that I was going the right way. The nice thing about this challenge was that there were 20 prompts, right? So 20 days, which was kind of nice because then you can break off from that and then enjoy the rest of the holiday. But as I started to get deeper into the challenge and deeper into the work, it started to feel so heavy. I found myself feeling a certain kind of way. And so I had to kind of change my approach a little bit to make it work because I didn't want to do this challenge and then be down the whole time trying to like work through all my stuff. So I approached it through journaling. And I found that putting everything out there on my journal was the best possible way that I could do this. And so I would draw a card, look at the keyword, and reflect on it, journal on it. And then I would create, an Instagram post for the day with my takeaways. And it's really hard, right? Because in essence, you're putting yourself out there. And I I have to say I did put quite a bit of information out there, but there was still so much more that I kept to myself, right? For my own healing, for my own journey. I did share a lot with my kids. Um, and I'll tell you what, at the end of this whole thing, like I had such severe cramps in his finger. in this finger because I'm one of those like hard pressers when I'm writing. So yeah, it was painful, but it was so good. And after I changed it around and I started doing the journaling first, I found myself feeling so much better. And I was able to complete the challenge. I was really happy with it. You could see I did a lot of heavy journaling, and I captured information like every single day, and it was so good. I thought about things that I hadn't thought about in such a long time. Gosh, it was so much. You could see like it's pages and pages. But something that I did at the end of all this to commemorate the work that I had done was I created a photo collage of the month and the key learnings. And this was probably my favorite part. And I'll, share it real quick. And I included pictures and little blurbs and moments. And I don't know, it was just such a nice way to wrap up the challenge. I really, really enjoyed this so, so much. Like, such a great use of time. So that was my inner child work for the month of December. Now, of course, December, I usually gift myself a deck in the month of December. Um, since I have been on the nice list and I purged a bunch of decks from my collection, I decided it was okay to be a little generous with myself. So I actually I added 4 decks to my collection, and then I received a deck as a gift. So I did a separate video on this, but I'll quickly share. I picked up this little gem at TJ Maxx. This is so super cool. It's a Spanglish deck. I thought it would be like an Oracle card deck. I'm not really sure how I'll end up using it, but um, it was so much fun. And I think this is one of those decks that serves like a nostalgic purpose. I actually ended up dividing the deck into 3 chunks, and I'll share. Let's see. So these were the cute little card backs. And then this little section that I have here is just full of what you would call refranes, or expressions that people say. And there's a bunch in here, some in Spanish, some in English, but a lot of these I'm like, oh, I remember, especially my mom. I remember my mom saying a lot of these. So it was a lot of fun to go through these. So there are the little expressions, and then there was a section with a bunch of checklists, which I just got such a kick out of. So I saved them here. And basically, it's just a checklist. So there's a checklist for cleaning supplies, guiding principles of cleaning, uh, words. This is so cool. Words of wisdom to say in front of a mirror when life feels hard. I love that so much. Oh, Abuela approved beauty and makeup products, date night ideas, love songs, partner tests, friend tests, how to not get sick, even recipes. Okay. I I laughed so many times going through this deck. And then the biggest chunk will be, which you could see, the deck itself is 100 cards. This is just a bunch of tips, right? Tips on self love, what to do in the New Year's, Christmas traditions. Of course, there's tons of like cleaning advice, money advice, making decisions, relationships, friendships, technology, self care. I mean, you name it, it's probably in here. So this deck was super, super awesome. Sweet little find at TJ Maxx, and I'm thrilled to have that in the collection. And the other deck, which was awesome, is a my cemetery deck. So this deck, this is a cemetery deck. Make playing cards is where I got it. And it's a chunker because why? Because I'm greedy. Because I didn't want the regular deck with 80 cards. That wasn't enough. I had to go get the expanded edition, 160 cards. You guys, it took me 2 days, right? Because this creator made it possible for you to be able to go in there, and if there was a keyword that didn't resonate and you wanted to change it to something else, or you wanted to add something else, you could do that. So of course, I went in through all 160 cards and looked at all of the keywords, and it was a it was very special to be able to do that. I ended up changing the font only because I always felt like the original font was very it was thin writing, so it was difficult to see on some of the cards, and I chose I don't know, like a bolder font. I'll show you here. I have the deck in order because I want to do some work with this deck, but I also want to film. Um, I want to film with this deck. So I'm keeping it in the order in which I created because, of course, me being the nerd that I am, I created a spreadsheet with all of the keywords. And I remember that I even charted like what keywords I took out and what I replaced them with. And then I ran them through an AI tool and discovered that the deck was very well balanced. It had your positive cards, but it also had shadow cards and neutral cards. And because there's 160 cards in this deck, I'm almost thinking like I could possibly divide it into the 3 stacks and use it that way. So I'm still thinking about how I'm going to do that. So more to come on this beauty. I love cemeteries. I don't think I knew that until later on in life. I enjoy cemeteries. I find them peaceful. I find them soothing and calm. There's something about being in that space that feels, I don't know, heartwarming. And so when I saw that deck, I knew that I had to have that at some point. And then the other deck is actually this one. Sacred Feminine Wisdom. No, Seeds from the Sacred Feminine. And I added this to my collection because I spotted some of this artwork in my Wee Moon calendar and I fell in love with it. And then one of my dear friends reached out and let me know that they had a deck. So I went ahead and I got it. And the artwork is just so beautiful. Um, I'll share a few cards here. It's just stunning. It's unique, it's different. It has, ties to indigenous practices, which I am loving very much because I'm planning on pairing this deck with another deck in my collection. So, again, more to come on that. So, that is Seeds from the Sacred Feminine. The other deck was this one, Tarn Ellis. I love this. I love her. This is the Earth Woman tarot. Again, this is still in order. Um, Still in order, but so, so pretty. Those are the card backs. And It's just gorgeous. I always loved this artwork. I was familiar with it because I followed the creator on Instagram for the longest time. And I remember thinking, my gosh, she would make an awesome tarot deck. That's what I told myself. She would make an awesome tarot deck. Oh, I wish she would make one, blah, blah, blah. Well, come to find out, she did. And this is not her only deck. She has others. She has a few, quite a few others. And so I knew that this was the deck that I wanted to add to my collection. And this ended up being the moment. So this is my Earth Woman Tarot that I'm very much looking forward to working with. And I would say, this deck is very like RWS. The artwork is very beautiful. I don't know that there's anything about the deck that is like, oh my gosh, they, went a different way or, anything like that. I don't know, maybe even a little bit of a clone. But for me, because I love the artwork so much, it has a special place in my heart. And then the last deck is Vision Quest. Now, this is a deck that I have seen many, many times and never had an interest in. But since then, things have changed for me, and I went ahead and added it to my collection. I still have it in order because, again, I'm going to be doing some work with this deck. But a friend of mine found out that I had an interest in the deck and they had the deck, but they didn't click with it. So they sent it to me. And that was so, so nice. So, so nice because it came from so far away. And now it's here, and I'll get to explore it and learn from it. And I'm hoping to pair this with the seeds from the Sacred Feminine deck. And yeah, hopefully that'll be a match. So that'll be something I'll be working on. Coming up probably in January. So yeah, these are the newest decks that have come into the collection. And it was definitely more than I envisioned. I didn't think I was going to get this many. But it's okay. These things happen. And I like to spend time with the decks and work with them. But the other thing is that I actually, if I work with a deck and it doesn't resonate, then I try very, very hard to rehome the deck to someone who will love it and appreciate it. So I don't hold on to them. I try to let them go with a lot of love. And so yeah, those are the new ones. Those are my newest babies. Let's see. Now, decks that I used in the month of December. Well, I mentioned that it's my inner child month. So that means that I was using this fun deck. This is the Pastel Kitty. And this deck is just so fun, so cute, a clone, right? Adorable. The colors are fantastic. Such a great reader, easy reader. But I'm telling you, this is the deck that I used for my inner child work, and um, I went pretty deep. I went pretty deep with these cards, and it just goes to show that just because a deck has cute little, cartoon characters on it doesn't mean that it's not going to be hard hitting. When the messages come up, they come up. And it's up to you how you're going to, receive them. So yeah, this was the primary deck that I used for the month of December. Sorry, I was missing a deck. The other deck that I worked with quite a bit was the I'm Here. Very sweet, soft deck, very nurturing, I would say. It definitely has its own little kind of energy, and it paired really, really nicely with the pastel kitty. So I enjoyed getting to know this deck. I had actually just unboxed it and decided that I wanted to use it in the month of December, and it was perfect. Worked really, really well with the deck. I'm sure would work well with a few other decks, and it was super cool. I always like to pair, tarot and oracle. So this one was pretty awesome. Another deck that I worked with was my Fortune Cookie Oracle. I love this Oracle. I don't know, I probably say that every single time, but basically every single card has a fortune. And you can see it's a photographic deck. So in the background, there is an image and then the fortune cookie message that relates to that. And this deck was super, super awesome. I did quite a few different pairings with it, and I had a lot of fun using these. It's such a great deck. This is a V Love and Crystals deck that you can pick up on Etsy. And it's probably one of my most favorite decks that I have ever picked up from her. I just love it. So that is my fortune cookie oracle. The other deck that I have that is also a V Love and Crystals deck is Winter's Embrace. These are the card backs. Now, this is obviously a winter deck. And for the most part, I don't really observe seasons here in Florida because it's just hot. It's just different degrees of hot here. Slightly hot, medium hot, super hot, hot, hot. So I don't really, um, divide my decks this way, but I grew up in this kind of climate. So for me, this is very nostalgic. So when I feel like I'm missing this kind of, the cold weather and snow and all the things that came with it, I wanted to work with this deck. The problem was that I didn't have a partner deck for it. But now I do, because what I ended up doing was combining this deck with my naturescapes. And I just adore the naturescapes. These are the card backs. This is another Make Playing Cards deck. I'm so happy with this deck. Um, Thrilled that I have it in my collection, and thrilled that I got this instead of the deck that I was trying to get, which was out of print. And this was the, quote unquote backup, but it for me ended up being the perfect deck for me. And there were times that I would say that I thought I might have a difficult time reading with this deck because I do prefer people in my decks. But surprisingly, I found this deck to be very easy to read with. And when you pair it with, like, you know, um, Winter's Embrace or the Fortune Cookie Oracle, it's amazing. And I paired this deck with one other oracle this month, and that is my Sacred Destiny. So if you're not familiar, this is the Denise Lynn deck, and I trimmed my copy. So these are a much more manageable size for my hands. And I ended up pairing this deck. As a matter of fact, at one point, I put all the four decks together and I would pull a card from each of the decks. And it was so cool. Like, I got so many cool messages. Oh, it was so much fun. And this is a deck that I really love and I've had for a very long time. Nature based, some animals in here, but nature based, and I didn't use it all that much. And come to find out that it was, perfect with naturescapes, but also paired really nicely with the fortune cookie and with the winter embrace. So I had a lot of fun with these. And then the last two decks, actually, no, I take that back. There's three more decks that I worked with. It's a lot of decks. But I'm telling you what, it feels good to have the decks and to use them, right? That's my most favorite part. These are a pair. I have them in the same baggie, but this is the Creatures Tarot. And it's a bit reminiscent to the I'm Here deck, except that this one felt a little bit more moody to me. And so I picked it up. And I loved working with this deck. In fact, I used this deck for reels, not reels, shorts. I used this for shorts, and I was having such a good time that I got carried away. I carried away filming shorts with these. It was just so awesome, so much fun. This deck is super cool. And, again, this doesn't have people, but they're not animals. So I don't really have to think about what animal is that and what it means and why it was chosen and what it adds to the card. It's just a creature. And so it really helps me when I'm reading with the deck. It's such a neat deck. And yeah, this deck I got through Kickstarter, and I ended up getting an entire set of majors, and I could pick and choose which major I wanted to include in the deck. So that was a lot of fun, but also left me with 12 extra cards that I could use as a majors only deck. I didn't have a majors only deck because I don't know, like, I don't know how I would read with a majors only deck, but it's nice to have it. And it's nice that if I ever feel like switching it up, I can. And then the companion deck to this is the Creatures Oracle. And I'm going to say it's official. This is the largest deck that I have in my collection. It's ginormous. I cannot shuffle it. I have a very hard time shuffling this deck. So, but other than that, it's amazing. It has like a protective film on it, but it doesn't bother or disturb the shuffle or working with it. And the deck is just so cool and very, very synchronistic to work with this deck and the tarot deck. Of course, since it's the same creator, they work amazing together. But this deck is just, I love it. I love it. So, so good. And I may even love this more than the tarot. I don't know. Both of them are amazing. Ooh, this is my favorite card. Well, I don't know. There's a lot of favorite cards, but this is one of my favorite cards. So, so cute. So, anyways, that was the creatures oracle that I worked with along with the tarot deck. And then the last deck, I did not intend to work with this deck, but I did a reading for a friend. And once I understood the nature of the question, I think I had the pastel kitty with me. I realized the pastel kitty was just not the right deck for the question. So I went for reinforcement and I grabbed my shimmering veil. Okay, this deck, this is not like, this is a deck with a very specific purpose. And if you use it in that way, you will get amazing readings with this deck. I don't think this is the kind of deck that you would, like do, like, I don't know, love readings, or is my ex gonna come back, or anything like that. This is a very deep, very spiritual deck. The artwork in here is stunning. I am a huge fan of watercolor artwork. This is the kind of deck that you pull cards and you have to sit with them. Like, let me bring you in so you could see, right? It's just on another level. And I used it this month to do the reading for my friend, and it was very deep and delivered the message that needed to be delivered in its own special way. So good. I love this deck. Yeah, this is a very, very spiritual deck, and it's awesome. I traded for this deck to get it into my collection. So I don't have the version with the gilded edges, and I do love me some gilding, but at the time I just wanted the deck, and I had a deck that somebody else really, really wanted, and so we were able to do a happy trade. And yeah, I don't even put this deck away. This just sits. Um, it just sits on my reading table in my bedroom. And yeah, so that is the Shimmering Veil. And then I did not pull the other two decks because I literally show them every single month. And that is my Sasarai Beetle, which is at my work desk every single day. I pull cards from that every single week. In fact, the card that I just pulled my last week of work, you can see Six of Swords. And that's how it was. That is how it was for me. So, yeah, a deck that I use all the time. And then the other deck that sits on my dresser. And it's my hug deck, my nighttime deck. And I use it periodically when I feel the need. I'll pull a card before bed and read the book, and then drift off to sleep with the message in the back of my mind. I really try hard to enter into liminal space. That's not always successful for me, but I do try to take the message with me into liminal space. And yeah, I love that deck. Did I even tell you the name of it? It's my Tarot of Light, right? It just sits right on my dresser. So that is all of, or those are all of the decks that I worked with, and it was a lot. 11, 11 decks. So great month, lots of learning, lots of insight, and I don't know. I feel great. I feel very grateful, a lot of gratitude for everything that I have at this very moment. I'll quickly share some stats. So, the month of December, I was able to put out 6 videos. I was able to film and put out 23 shorts, and I did 5 lives, both on my channel and on some other channels, which, if you remember, I shared, those are just always a lot of fun. It's fun collaborating with other readers in the community. I always feel like I learn so much doing those, and I don't know, they just add a little element of fun. So yeah, I've been a busy girl, I have to say. And as I'm wrapping up my month and my reflections, and it's just not just my month, it's like end of the year too. So as I'm wrapping everything up and thinking about how I want to, kick off the new year, I think my biggest wish is for all of you to have a beautiful start to your new year, filled with intention, filled with blessings, filled with joy. And I hope that anything that needs to be released in 2024, that you're able to do that successfully and heal from anything that has been plaguing you, and wishing you nothing but the best. So thank you so, so much for watching. I appreciate you all, and have a great day. Bye.